will be covering a really important update to possible Medicare cuts by the House GOP in the first segment later in the show, including the absolute fury that President Donald Trump has been met with in regard to the possibility of him accepting a $400 million plane from the Qatari royals. It seems like there is bipartisan anger in regard to that very notion. And it's really interesting because you don't see the same type of anger when it comes to other forms of government corruption. I mean, I remember-
Dude, look at this. Dude, we're 1 minute in and she's about to go into, wow, nobody gets mad at the Democratic corruption.
Remember the story about homeboy 𝗦𝗂𝗽𝗪 up in Texas, a Democratic lawmaker, of course, allegedly taking bribes from Azerbaijan. Whatever happened to that? Didn't really hear much about that. There wasn't all this anger and fury about a foreign government bribing allegedly a member of Congress.
Look at that, dude. Dude, she literally brought up the Qatar, right? She brought up the gift of the plane. Everyone's mad at Donald Trump, but man, these Democrats are so corrupt and nobody cares about it. Dude, she went right in for the Dems.
Because you don't see the same type of anger when it comes to other forms of government corruption.
See, isn't it funny that the minute she said other forms of government corruption, I just literally knew she was going to a Democrat. She was going to a Democrat. You just knew it. It is literally the only thing they do. But I mean, my thing is real simple, dude. I don't even think this is a Democrat or Republican thing, dude. It's like if you're money laundering and you're taking bribes and shit, go to jail. You know what I'm saying? So she's going to talk about the Democrats that are involved with this corruption. But like, dude, I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican. Throw Menendez in jail. Throw 𝗲𝗄𝗪 in jail. Nobody is opposed to that. But the problem I do have, though, is how, like, dude, Trump is the president of the fucking United States. We got to focus on Trump. Trump is in the White House right fucking now. Trump is taking bribes in front of us right fucking now. We should just be talking about Trump. I'm tired of like, oh, Trump's committing crimes right in front of us. Let's talk about this Democrat who committed crimes. Who fucking cares, dude? The Democrat's doing time. The point is we need Trump to be doing some fucking time.
A Democratic lawmaker, of course, allegedly taking bribes from Azerbaijan. Whatever happened to that?
Yeah. What happened to that, Anna, is he's currently under fucking indictment and being tried for that shit.
There wasn't all this anger and fury about a foreign government bribing allegedly a member of Congress. Now, of course, Bob Menendez, a Democratic senator, ended up getting prosecuted and convicted for taking illegal bribes.
Yeah, and so we are putting them in jail, Anna. Let me just say this, though, too. You ready? A congressperson taking bribes and money laundering is not the same as a president doing it, Anna. You know why? Because the president's actually got a level of immunity where they're not going to get prosecuted. They're not going to go to jail. And they could fuck up the whole country. Okay? Bob Menendez and 𝗲𝗄𝗪, these representatives, they're fucking shit up, right? They're stealing some money. Yeah, they're going to go to jail. But they're not going to sink the whole goddamn country. Right? But she's like, oh, you're more mad that a president is committing treasonous money laundering. Dude, yeah, I know, dude. Her argument is fucking deranged.
But that story didn't get nearly as much attention as this story involving the Qatari royals and their relationship with Trump.
Well, of course. It's a no-name senator that nobody's ever heard of versus the president of the fucking United States. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, if I took money from a foreign government, it would probably have less fucking news coverage than Donald Trump. Like, goddamn, bro. You know, how dumb is that? Like, yeah, a representative or a senator that nobody's ever heard of is not going to get as much news coverage as the fucking president taking bribes. Like, we've all heard of Nixon, but there have been any number of senators who've taken bribes between Nixon and now that none of us have ever fucking heard of. Why? Because the president of the United States is like a high-profile job. It's kind of like nobody's heard of you, Anna, but everybody knows who Rachel Maddow is. Right? It's that same difference, right? Everybody knows Rachel Maddow because she's on a major network, right? Only a few people know who fucking 𝗫𝗓𝗏 is because she's on a sinking fucking ship called TYT. Right.
First, though, I do want to talk a little bit about what the latest updates are on the House budget bill, which does in fact include some cuts to Medicaid.
Dude, some cuts to Medicaid, it includes massive cuts to Medicaid. You see that? How she described the budget bill, the House budget bill? She said some cuts. Some cuts. Right? There's like $800 billion they're going to decimate from Medicaid, and they're going to give it to Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and, Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, right? And while poor people are dying on the street, but there's some cuts to Medicaid. It's like, Anna, you fucking disingenuous toad. What are you doing? Come on, man.
Cenk, all of a sudden, politicians from both sides of the political aisle really concerned about foreign corruption of our politicians. Super worried about it. Wow. Okay, well, let's give you the details.
I'm not a fan of Qatar. I also think that the plane poses significant espionage and surveillance problems. So we'll see how this issue plays out, but I certainly have concerns.
Republican Senator Ted Cruz, who you just heard from, is far from the only politician or even the only Republican who's speaking out against their king, Donald Trump, for considering accepting a $400 million plane to essentially serve as Air Force One that would be gifted by the Qatari royals.
See, it's really weird. Are you guys noticing the weird tone, right? It's like where it's almost like she's upset that people are mad at Trump about this plane. Like, it's just such a weird journalistic tone from her. When in fact, like Trump, all the money that Qatar has given to the Trump cabinet, $623 million to Witkoff, the Middle East envoy, to buy a building. Over $1 billion doing a 99-year lease on Jared Kushner's building that was completely underwater, bailing him out. $100,000 a month to Pam Bondi when she was a registered foreign agent lobbying for Qatar. Now a $400 million plane. That's like $2 billion from Qatar to the Trump cabinet. And like, we should be outraged, right? That all that money is flowing to these guys. Like, what are they getting for this? Why is the president taking bribes and shit? And she's like, oh, everyone's mad. She's like mad at the people that are mad. It's like her tone is like totally condescending. Her tone is like sort of like, in a way, it's legitimizing and protecting Donald Trump. And it's making everybody but Trump seem like the enemy. And that's really fucking strange. It's making me wonder who's funding these motherfuckers.
Apparently, all of a sudden, you have all these conservatives who are worried about government corruption. In fact, conservative media personalities, representatives, and senators who seem to totally be okay with corruption in all other forms suddenly have this issue with Qatar bribing one of our politicians, in this case, the president of the United States. Others are defending Trump, but we'll get to them later, Cenk.
Yeah, so it's shocked to find gambling in this establishment. So it turns out that maybe other countries are trying to influence them. I wonder if the top lobbying group in the country that has the word Israel in its name is mentioned by any of these people. Oh, that's so weird.
Oh yeah, there we go. Now we're getting to it. That's what they're really mad about. They're like mad at like the AIPAC, right? This is about AIPAC for them. Now it's kind of making sense. Oh, AIPAC made me mad. Dude, I'm guessing that Cenk Uygur is not gonna have a beer with Miriam Adelson. Right? Miriam Adelson, Franny, And Emma Vigeland and Sam Seder are the 4 people that Cenk Uygur is not going to have a beer with.
None of them mention it, and neither does the media. The media that's now saying, I can't believe Biden lied to us. It turns out he was old. What are we, reporters? How could we figure that out? Yeah. Is going to say one day when they get caught on AIPAC.
Dude, he literally cannot go. He can't go a day without the Biden is old with some fucking voice, bro. It's not possible for him. I think he's 30 years from now, he's still gonna be talking about Biden being old.
AIPAC and the fact that they never, ever, ever covered the fact that AIPAC was the #1 donor in the election cycle, etc. They will then go, I didn't know. It turns out that this lobbying group was for Israel. All I knew about was bad Qatar. Bad Qatar.
Here's a quick compilation of various conservatives, various Republicans who take issue with the notion that Trump should accept this gift from Qatar.
Taking sacks of goodies from people who support Hamas, the Muslim Brotherhood, Al-Jazeera, all the rest. That's not America first. Like, please define America first in a way that says you should take sacks of cash from the Qatari royals who are behind Al-Jazeera. If you want President Trump's agenda to
Ben
succeed,
is not happy
from Qatar is not the way.
I do think the jet probably sends the wrong signal to people, and I don't like the look or appearance of it, so I would hope that he would reject it. The Constitution specifically says you can't take gifts from foreign leaders.
I don't like it. There's a reason that people can't even buy me a steak dinner. It's not necessarily that you can prove that I've got an ethical problem. It's that the appearance of it doesn't look great.
Dude, it is literally illegal, okay? They're trying to do a shuck and jive and say that it's not for Trump, that it's donated to the Pentagon, to the DOD or whatever, but you can't take a gift from a foreign government. And if that motherfucking thing gets transferred to his presidential library, that thing should end up in the fucking scrap heap. You know, like, come on, man. It's just straight up illegal.
This is the kind of discussion that typically takes place on corporate media. You know, corporate media loves to cover political bribes 24/7. I mean, the real muckrakers are in the corporate press. And they like to have these conversations, Cenk. They take issue with corruption.
Yeah.
Dude, they're so bitter, right? Like, do you see that? Let's just take a minute here, okay, to consider the bitterness, okay? Because so far we've watched 7 minutes of Ana and Cenk talking about the Trump bribery, right? But like, what's interesting is they're not even talking about it to present the news, the story, the bribery, the scandal. What they've done is the first thing they did was Ana expressing bitterness, perceived bitterness with the Democrats, that the Democrats are corrupt and nobody talks about it. Trump is corrupt and it's a huge deal, but she's bitter about the Democrats. That was the whole thing. Ooh, the Democrats are corrupt and no one cares. I hate the Democrats. I'm bitter at the Democrats. Then they switched to talking about Ted Cruz and the Republicans, but what they were really talking about was their bitterness against AIPAC. It wasn't even about the story. It wasn't even about the plane. It was simply about how they hate AIPAC, and they're filled with grievance that AIPAC donates to these candidates. Now they've moved on, and it's their grievance and bitterness towards the mainstream media. Okay, whereas, oh yeah, the mainstream media, they love corruption, but they're being snarky, they're being filled with angst because MSNBC canceled this show. The mainstream media won't have these two people on. They've never been able to be mainstream anchors. Their YouTube channel is failing and the mainstream won't give them the time of day. It's like this whole show is not even centered in delivering you the news. Even the news they deliver is just a gateway drug for them to unload their personal grievance at the Democrats, at AIPAC, at Israel, at the news media, at Joe Biden, at Barack Obama, right? At fucking trans people, at right? Whatever it is, it's like something just gets centered in their own personal misery and grievance. Yes, at Kamala Harris or all black women, Kamala Harris Karen Bass, insert black woman here, right? It's like they literally just, every news story is just lathered in personal fucking grievance and bitterness. And they come back to this with every story and every day and every like, wow, man. It is like a case study. Like a team of psychiatrists should come in and examine these two fucking people and just line them up and be like, wow, we need to study these guys. Because it is just the grievance parade. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. You like the video, you want to support independent resistance media, you know what to do. Drop that sub, hit the like button, and please share it. And we do love our members, so if you want to become a member, it's another really great way to support. Thanks again for everything, guys. I'll see you next time. Let's go.